Y'all, Happy New Year. It is 2026, and I am back with the first vlog of the year.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad that they don't salute you. I need a bag.
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Keela Trishawn, and I make videos on lifestyle, insurance, and mental health. I also do vlogs, day in the life in the insurance industry, day in the life with a small child, day in the life really doing anything. That's something that interests you. Go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back, and thank you for your support. All right, y'all. So how did we have so much anticipation for the holiday season just for it to end in the blink of an eye? Like, I was so geeked about just having some time off and, being able to enjoy my family and, chill, not have to clock in. And just like that, we're back to business. Okay. As of the time I'm filming this, it is Wednesday, January 7th. So I've been back at work. Well, we've all been back at work since Monday, January 5th. And let's just say it's been intense. It hasn't been bad, but it's been intense. We are now, actually, as of today makes a year since the California wildfires in Palisades and Eaton. I cannot believe that it has been a year. Like, I literally remember what I was doing when the news broke. Yesterday was like the year anniversary of the last field inspection that I did. Like, I was coming home from crap, I don't even know. I was somewhere in the valley, but I just remember the winds were like out of control. And I got home and I had saw the news reports of like the fire breaking out, but we didn't realize it was going to be as crazy as it ended up being. So we're a year past that, and we're still working these claims. A lot of people are home, but there are a lot of people that are not. So you've got the people that have the complete like burn downs. I'm not actually handling the total loss claims anymore. They've kind of triaged those to a different team. So the claims that I'm handling are partial burns and claims that have like smoke and ash damage. But then obviously with that, you've got a lot of contents, issues, whatever, whether the contents are total loss or they need like extensive cleaning. So a lot of stuff going on. There's a situation in particular that I do want to kind of chat with you guys about. I'm going to tell y'all kind of what I told my supervisor I think we should do. I don't know if this is what we're going to do, but this is just kind of my like putting my adjuster hat on in an effort to resolve, because it's crazy. But if you are an adjuster, please let me know in the comments once we get to that situation what you would do, because I really need some ideas. I got to get this situation taken care of, because I don't want to take this problem through 2026. But anyways, I am actually just preparing myself right now. I just logged on to my computer, so all of my apps are loading. I'm about to make my smoothie and just kind of get myself set up. But if you are interested in seeing what is going on in claims in 2026 with me, definitely go on ahead and stay tuned. All right, you guys. So I am at my desk. Smoothie is ready to go and all that jazz. So let me tell y'all what is going on, basically. So with the department, if you have not been watching, let me just kind of catch you up. So I've been on special assignment this whole time during the wildfire. So we're on like, it's like me and like several of my coworkers from my previous department. So we're on this team working these wildfire claims. Like, there were obviously a lot of them. So we are handling the claims essentially from like beginning to end. We've gotten transfers because some people have gone back to their regular job. Some people have left the company, like, so we've gotten transfers, but then there are also claims that we've been handling the whole time. So, and over the last few weeks, I have been able to close some claims. I think I was talking about that like in my last two vlogs. There were like 3 or 4 claims that I was able to close because the people had completed their restoration. One of them was a like landlord property, so it wasn't like they were moving in, but the place is good for them to now rent out. So that one I was able to close. I got a really good survey. It like things are working out. But then you got your other folks that we are now trying to kind of reel in. So with insurance, people have this thing like, you have a limit for, whatever your coverages are, and they think that you can just milk the policy until you get to your limit. Here's the thing. The policy says that you you have a duty to mitigate your damages. You have a duty to get started. So once we start making payments, start sending out vendors and all that, and essentially put you in a position where you are able to, start work, we expect you to start work. Now, we understand there could be delays if you want to use your own vendor. Like, we allow for time for you to find a vendor, that you want to work with. If you have a difference in estimate, cost, you can send it over to us to review, all that stuff. But you can't just like sit around and not do anything and then just think that your housing is just covered indefinitely or until you run out of limits. That's not how this thing works. Like, the whole idea is to get you back to where you were pre-loss. So I have a couple insureds that are just don't understand that, and they are just like, oh well, I'm doing this, and I don't want to move until I have this done and all that. I've offered to help, and they don't want the help, and all that. So it's not for lack of the insurance company doing what they're supposed to do. It's just essentially they're dragging their feet, and that's kind of where we're at. Again, we're a year post fire, and in the very beginning, and then like even in the months that followed, some of these neighborhoods you couldn't even get into or just wasn't safe to go into. The vendors were inundated. So we understood that it was going to take time to get back, like into the area to do what needs to be done. But I would say maybe since like July-ish, June, July, like a lot of the lots have been cleaned up, and the neighborhoods, were open for people to go like freely into the neighborhood. And so there really is no reason why something hasn't started. Even if it's going to take a while, it's no reason why something hasn't started, especially if your home was only affected by smoke and ash. We could definitely get in there and, work with the contents, but we could get your home cleaned up and just get it habitable again. So I have a customer right now who has not started anything. I've sent like all the letters and, all the policy verbiage and all that, but they're basically trying to say that they don't understand the thought process. I don't know how else I can explain the thought process. However, I have really good discernment. I have really good, kind of like antennas, and I see sometimes what people try to do. And I'm not saying that everybody does this, but this one particular client, I get the feeling they want us to exhaust some of their coverages, but without doing an investigation. And that's not how we do things. And I've been telling them since like June when they first asked me, like, that's not how these things are done. We have to do an inspection because your items are still available. Your home is not a total loss. So you don't get the same benefits that they do. They lost everything. So there's nothing to inspect. With you guys, there is something to inspect. So we have to have the opportunity per your policy to inspect and, adjust the claim. So I get the feeling that what they're trying to do is they're trying to say they don't understand. They're trying to put the blame back on us, saying that they've asked us several times and we're not answering their questions properly to drag out the claim. There was like a whole situation in December where they sent the letter, with all these questions, and they asked us to get back to them within like 2 weeks. We got back to them within 2 weeks with our responses. It was very detailed. And then they sent a letter yesterday, essentially saying that we didn't, specifically answer their questions. The issue is that some of the things that they're asking us are not for the insurance company to decide. It's for like a testing vendor to decide or for an abatement vendor to decide. And we've gotten all of their, answers, but they still aren't happy with this. So this is where I need your help if you're an adjuster to let me know what you would do or what you would suggest. So for me, I think that we need to stop the bleeding. I think that we need to, for lack of a better term, put belt to ass and say, look, this is what we're going to do. We have been asking for months, for the opportunity to inspect. We've been asking for months for like to send out vendors, since it seems like you're having trouble with vendors or whatever the case, and we're not getting anywhere. So we're going to go on ahead and advance you, let's just say 2 more months of housing. We're going to advance you like maybe a certain percentage of your contents, because we know that there's some damage to the contents, but we haven't had a chance to inspect them. And you're trying to get us to, liquidate your coverages. So let's go on ahead and give you a certain amount of money, and you do what you got to do, right? We're going to go on ahead and close your claim because we can't keep going back and forth. Now, if you are able to produce a counter estimate, if you're able to allow us to inspect, we can go from there. And if we owe more, then we'll, review that at that time. But as of right now, we can't reasonably adjust the claim because you're not allowing us to. So I presented this to my supervisor yesterday, and she said that she's going to talk to her supervisor to just find out what, our next steps are, because apparently I'm not the only one going through this. Like, there's a lot of people that are just kind of dragging things out and, threatening to get attorneys or public adjusters or file Department of Insurance complaints and all that. But it's like you can threaten all that, but at the end of the day, policy is a policy. As long as, and this is for any adjuster, as long as you're doing what you need to do, as long as you are following the policy, not acting off of emotion, and essentially following the protocol, you can't get in trouble. Even if they decide that they want to go and litigate, or if they decide they want to go and file a complaint, you can't get in trouble. Just make sure that you cover your behind, note your file, make sure everything is uploaded, answer inquiries in a timely manner, all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see what's going on with that. I've been talking for 7 minutes. So I'm gonna go on ahead and set up my desktop. I do have a class today, so I want to get a couple things done before I get there. But there's a spreadsheet that I need to fill out that we just found out about yesterday, and we have until tomorrow to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out that spreadsheet so I'm not scrambling at the end of the day, and then I'm going to start just working on some of my activities before my class. So I will be back to talk with you guys and let you know what's going on, what's new, all that jazz. All right, you guys. So it's been a little minute. I completed that spreadsheet that I was telling you guys about, and now I'm headed to my activities. I am, starting off the year like, look, I'm not playing with y'all. So there's a gentleman that I have been trying to get in touch with for like a long time. I talked about this person before. We had talked briefly in December just about like the status of his claim, and we were kind of playing phone tag. So I called him a couple of times and he has not called me back. So I just sent him a 10-day letter like, look, if you do not reach back out within the next 10 days, I'm just going to assume that you're no longer pursuing your claim, and we're going to go on ahead and close it. Now, he can, if he decides to call me after the claim is closed, there is like a certain amount of time that he can reach back out to, discuss whatever. But yeah, I just don't want to keep following up if he's going to be like ignoring me. He did say that he has some things going on with his family, which is completely fine. Like, I understand that, but it's been months. It's like you have an open claim. So you do have to let us know. Like, if there's something that you want us to review, you got to send it in. If there's questions that you have to access, because we are required to follow up ever so often. And it's really just a waste of time if you're not going to like respond. So there is that. But yeah, I have been talking to you guys too. Just quick side note, I've been talking to you guys about, wanting to get into a less customer facing role, still wanting to stay in insurance, but wanting to just kind of explore other things. So I look daily at my company's like posted jobs to see if there's anything that makes sense. And honestly, I haven't seen too many things. Part of the issue is that some of the jobs that I see that I would be interested in don't make as much as I do. So I'm definitely not taking a pay cut. So I'm just, trying to keep my options open, especially with it being a new year and all of that, going on 11 years in insurance. And I've been an adjuster the whole time. I've learned a lot, especially with this particular situation. I've learned so, so much. And I feel like, I will be a better adjuster after having handled such complex claims. But, I'm looking into just other stuff. Like, I've told y'all about like SIU. I've thought about that before. That is still customer facing to a certain extent, because you would have to like do interviews with customers and, like talk to customers, but it's not like a everyday customer facing type thing. And then you don't own the claim. Like, you would just be kind of stepping in if there's suspicious activity. I've thought about underwriting. I'm really considering underwriting. The only thing is, I know that some underwriting roles require like sales, and I'm not a fan of sales. So I got some things to think about. I've even thought about doing like audit, but everybody hates the auditors, including myself. So I only know like one auditor is like really cool. And so I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'm gonna keep looking, but I will keep you guys informed once I, find something that makes sense. But I think I'm just at my social battery is almost exhausted. Like, I do enjoy working from home because I'm able to set my day up and not be bothered by just, people constantly walking into my cubicle or my office. That's what used to happen when I worked in office. And working in office was cool. Like, I used to, like, I have I still have friends to this day that I work with, but just kind of being able to set my day up and just be at home, be in the comfort of my stuff. And, I can eat better, I can work out, I can, do my content and all of that. Like it's been cool. But, I just kind of want to pivot in my career and all of that. So yeah, right now I just sent that letter to that guy I was telling you guys about. I do have an email that I need to respond to, two emails actually. So in insurance, we have to send out these status letters. Basically, like every 30 days, you send out a status letter. It's a Department of Insurance requirement. But as long as the claim is open, you send out a status letter with just items that are pending, like the reasons why the claim is still open. And then if they're in temporary housing, you want to put like, a forecasted last day, all that stuff. So this lady, I've been telling her for the longest that these letters that you're going to get are automatic. So don't get mad. You're going to continue to get them. So if you're going to send me an email every month, I mean, be my guest, but you're still going to get them. So she's, kind of like refuting some of the things in there. And she's one of those people that is, kind of playing games and not moving, is not moving on to restoration like she should. So we had a conversation in mid-December and I'm like, look, I get what you're trying to do. And you're more than welcome to get your own vendors and to get testing and stuff like that. But that does not mean that you're just going to sit around here and play games and extend everything out. Like I get looked at. They're asking me what's going on. And if I don't know what's going on, then I can't really advocate for you. So, I'm going to put these last days. And then when you have an opportunity, you can update me and I can let you know where we can go from there. So yeah, I got to respond to her emails because she sent me some emails on Monday. So, today's Wednesday, so I'm going to go ahead and respond to him today. And then just let her know you're going to continue to get him. So, yeah, girl. Anyways, y'all. Oh, I want to talk to you guys about content. So, last year was tough. Like, I lost my brother in January of last year. And that just honestly threw everything off. It was like the wildfires, and then he passed away. This was all in January of 2025. So, I'm going to do a video actually just, talking about the grief journey and, still having to work and show up and all that. I'm going to probably put that out. I might film it this week. We'll see. It's taken me a while to do that video because one thing I'm not is emotional on camera, but I do think that I'll be able to do the video without like getting super emotional. And even if I do, I'll just cut those parts out because I'm not there yet where I don't think I'll ever be there. I'm not knocking anybody that does, but I don't cry on the internet. I'm sorry. I'm not doing all that. But I do want to kind of talk about that because there's a lot that goes on, behind the scenes. And I feel like sometimes people, forget that. Like we put up these videos as content creators. I'm like a small level content creator. We put these videos and we're kind of, just talk, like I try to keep it real and tell y'all about like what's going on. But then there are things that I don't discuss. And part of that was, just like the journey of the grief and having to work and show up and just other things. Because it wasn't even just that happened. It was other things that went on in my personal life that just kind of was crazy. 2025 was out of control. I will say that. So I'm happy that, we kind of have a new start. But at the same time, it's like, the further we get away from 2025, the further I get away from the last time I saw my siblings. So that is something that I'm struggling with. But I also want to talk about just kind of what I want to do this year. A lot of the goals that I had last year just got derailed because of everything that happened. So I want to discuss that and just kind of my plan for the new year and all of that. And as always, I want to get your input as far as like what types of videos you want to see, what type of content. I am towards the end of the year, I started playing with different types of content, like doing like routine video, meals that I make in a week, things like that. And those things didn't really get a lot of views, but I completely understand because it's not like my normal content. But I am going to start incorporating more of that into the new year because I do want to, like, there's more to me than just insurance, So I'm still going to be talking about insurance. I also want to get more in depth with that, like even showing you guys how to do inspections, like what to look for when you go to these houses, things like that, claims investigations, stuff of the sort. But yeah, let me know what y'all are trying to see from me in the new year so I can, put it on my content calendar. But yeah, I'm going to stop yapping and go and start working on some of these things because it's Wednesday. So I like to do as much as I can and resolve as much as I can each week, to make my life easier. So yes, I'll be around. I'll be back to check in with you guys and let you know what I've accomplished thus far. All right, you guys. So I just got out of that class. It was about commercial roof claims. So got some, knowledge that helps me get my CE credits as an adjuster. If you're a licensed adjuster, you have to take like so many classes to keep your licensing. So that's what I do. Whenever classes are offered, I just make sure I take them so I can be over prepared. So that was basically what y'all saw in that last clip. It's almost lunch though. I got about like 5 minutes and it's not much I can do in that 5 minutes. So I just wanted to film this clip real quick and let you guys know what's happening. I am, of course, eating from home. I think I was kind of letting you guys know that prior to the new year that I've been just making it a point to eat most of my meals at home. We try to eat out on the weekends only. And if we do eat out during the week, we try to make it like a one-time thing. But for the most part, we be cooking. Yesterday was Tuesday, so I made tacos, and that's what I'm going to be eating today. Just, I don't know if I have any more beans left. I usually have like refried beans and do the whole nine, but I don't think I have no more. So it'll just be some basic tacos, but it's going to get the job done. And tonight I have some ground beef thawing so I can make some like meatballs. I'm going to put some gravy on the side, cut up some potatoes, have a little hearty meal that will take us through tomorrow. So anyway, let me go on ahead and get that started, and I'll be back after lunch to let y'all know what's going on for the rest of the day. All right, y'all. So I am back from lunch, and like literally right before I logged in, I kept hearing my emails going off in my phone. Since like my emails connected to my phone, like they'll go off at the same time. So I was like, dang, what's going on? It was like rapid fire. So I was getting a bit nervous, but it was so one of my insurers, I sent out a vendor to do an inspection of her home. We already got like the cleaning estimates and stuff like that, but she said that there were some issues with like some items that were damaged during the fire that she wanted to be looked at. And she kind of like verbally told me, and then she emailed it to me, but we need to do a physical inspection. So she had initially denied the inspection because she's like, oh, I want to do this first. Something that she wanted to do first. It didn't make sense. And I'm like, you're impeding our investigation. Okay. So she sent me this email on Monday. I think I had talked about it in an earlier clip, but just basically telling me how, you know, she's entitled to ALE as long as, the process takes and blah, blah, blah. And I was telling her, you are entitled to ALE because it is your claim and this is, what your policy owes you, but you can't just sit around and not do nothing. You got to actually remediate your home. So clearly she got the email because I guess she reached out to the vendor and set the inspection. So I got an email from that vendor saying that she called to set the inspection, and then they reached out asking if there was like or if there was some additional information that they needed to know. So I'm going to go on ahead and let them know what's happening. The inspection is set for next week, so that works out perfectly. I'll be able to get that estimate probably in the next like week or so, and we can just move forward. The biggest thing as an adjuster tip. You do not want there to be any delays on your end if you can help it, okay? Because it's going to be hard for you to enforce your insureds to do what they need to do and mitigate their damages and start repairs if you're bullshitting on your end. I like to, because everything is so urgent, then like nothing becomes urgent. So what I like to do is work on a few claims per day and work them until there's nothing else to be done. at least for the day, like work them until, I've addressed everything and I'm just waiting for documents or whatever. So you can actually have a leg to stand on. So I basically, with this situation, I'm trying to get an idea of the full scope of work so I can make sure that we make our payments. Once our payments are made and she has a copy of everything, then it's on her to start. And then if she doesn't agree with the amounts, you can go on ahead and submit a counter estimate. But you're not about to sit over here and say, oh, well, I told you this and you didn't do anything. No, that's not how I get down. As soon as you tell me there's an issue, I investigate it. I send out the needed experts. We get everything on file and then we move accordingly. So if there are any delays, and I'm not saying I don't mess up, there are times where I get caught up and I'm not perfect, but my goal is to always be like on top of things so we don't have situations later where the customer is like, oh, well, you didn't do A, B, and C, so that's why I need additional time. We don't have those problems over here. I've been doing this long enough to know that you need to jump on things as soon as somebody says there's a problem. So yeah, anyways, let me go ahead and respond to them. I also just got a message back from the contents vendor. So it looks like she reached out to them as well because I scheduled contents to go out. So they're going to go and review all of her items so we can get those reports and get everything underway so we can get her back home. That was a mouthful, but yeah. Basically for the rest of the day. So I did get a voicemail from a customer while I was in my class. He just said he wanted to see how I was doing, which is really nice. Like, he's a really nice guy, but I'm probably not going to be able to call him back until tomorrow because I have a few things that I have to do. On his claim, he's back home. Everything's good. We were just waiting for him to complete the repairs to his carport. So he's pretty much done. I should be closing him out, hopefully, like over the next month, depending on how long it takes the vendor to do what they got to do. And let's see. Oh, this lady sent in receipts for her contents, like items that she's purchased that she wants to collect a depreciation on. She just kind of sent me a bunch of receipts. So I need to go in and add up all those receipts and see if we owe her the full amount back. Like, basically, if she has not spent the full like replacement cost, then we don't owe her anything until she completes the replacement cost purchases. So yeah. I'm going ahead and work on those things. And that's pretty much going to take me through the end of the day. So I'll get back to you guys a little before I log out to let you know what was accomplished and what is going to be still outstanding for tomorrow and the rest of the week. All right, you guys. So it has been a day, not a bad day, but a long day. I got done with most of my activities, which is a blessing because that rarely happens. Like, usually I have a lot of stuff that needs to be transferred to the next day. That's kind of by design though, because there's only so much that you can reasonably handle and some tasks take longer than others. I think the last clip that I did, I was telling you guys about some receipts that I was going to review, and it took me almost all that time, which was about 2 hours, to go through those receipts. Some of them were duplicates, so I had to go back and make sure that, I was correct. Like, wait a minute, I think I've seen this receipt before. So it was a lot. So now I'm just putting it into a spreadsheet, and there are some additional like things that I need from the insurer because I don't think that we've met her. I don't think we've met full replacement costs, so I don't think I'll be able to reimburse her anything today. So I'm going to ask her some additional questions and see if she can send over some additional documentation so I can get that closed up. So at least I have worked that claim as far as I can work it. I completed my spreadsheets. I issued payments on a couple of invoices. I have responded to emails and, just like inquiries in the file. The guy that I told you called me earlier, I'm going to call him tomorrow. I don't have time to talk to him right now because it's usually like a 30-minute call. And I just didn't have time for that today. So I'll call him tomorrow, but just wanted to let y'all know kind of where I left off and all of that. It's basically New Year, same stuff. And if you see me looking this way, I'm standing in front of my patio door. So I just saw somebody walking that I didn't recognize, but it's fine. Anyway, If you enjoyed this video, I know it was a lot going on. I know I was very chatty, but if y'all watch my videos, you know I'm chatty. If you enjoyed though, definitely go on ahead and give me a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to let me know about any content ideas that you guys have. I want you guys to be a part of it and let me know what you want to see. I am going to film things that I want to film, but I also want to bring you guys along. And if there's something in particular that you want to see, go on ahead and leave it in the comments. If you made it this far and you have not subscribed, definitely go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. And with that said, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
You mad that they don't salute you. I need a bag, size is super. They turned your back, it's like I never knew you. Leader.